a world where every second is captured, replayed, and endlessly analyzed, it's easy to assume that only the biggest, loudest moments truly matter. The performances, the speeches, the carefully crafted interactions. But time and time again, it's the quiet, almost invisible seconds that leave the deepest mark. The ones that feel unplanned, unfiltered, and undeniably real. And this time, it all began with something incredibly simple. Waiting. Amid the constant movement, the overlapping schedules, and the blur of people passing by, Jeon Jungkook stood still. Not just physically but emotionally. There was something different about him in that moment. No playful glances, no distracted energy, no restless movement. His posture was relaxed, but his presence felt focused. Grounded. As if everything around him had faded into the background, leaving only one quiet intention behind. His eyes weren't searching aimlessly. They were waiting. And there's something deeply telling about the way someone waits, not out of impatience but with quiet certainty. As if they already know that the person they're waiting for will come. As if time itself doesn't feel heavy, because the destination is already worth it. That was Jungkook. So calm, certain. Waiting for someone who, even in absence, already held his full attention. And then Park Jimin appeared. No dramatic build-up. No music swelling in the background. Just Jimin, casually walking into view like any other ordinary moment in an already busy day. But what happened next turned that ordinary moment into something unforgettable. The second Jungkook saw him, everything shifted. It was instant. That stillness, the calm, patient waiting, broke in the most natural, instinctive way possible. Without hesitation, without calculation, Jungkook moved. He ran. Not a slow step forward. Not a composed walk meant to look effortless. He ran toward Jimin with a lightness that felt almost automatic. Like his body reacted before his thoughts could catch up. Like something inside him recognized Jimin's presence before anything else did. There was no performance in it. No exaggeration. Just pure instinct. And within seconds he was right there, standing beside Jimin as if that had always been where he belonged. As if the space next to Jimin had been quietly waiting for him too. To an untrained eye it might have looked like nothing. Just one member moving closer to another in a crowded environment. A small, forgettable action. But to those who truly paid attention, it meant everything. Because moments like that don't come from obligation. They come from feeling. The way Jungkook stood next to Jimin afterward, it was effortless. No pause. No adjustment. No sense of arriving. It was as if there had never been distance between them in the first place. As if standing beside Jimin was simply the most natural position he could take. And Jimin? He didn't react with surprise. There was no sudden shift in expression, no questioning glance, no visible confusion. Instead, there was a quiet familiarity in the way he accepted Jungkook's presence. As if this, Jungkook coming to him like that, was something he already understood without needing an explanation. As if it had happened many times before. Maybe it has. Because the most meaningful connections are rarely built on grand, dramatic gestures. They live in repetition. In habits. In the small, unconscious actions that happen without thought. The kind of actions you don't even realize you're doing, until someone else points them out. ARMY didn't need long explanations to understand that moment. They felt it instantly. That soft warmth spreading quietly. That gentle ache that lingers a little longer than expected. That overwhelming realization that something so simple could carry so much emotion. Made people pause. Watch. Reflect. What is it really that exists between them? Is it just friendship? Or something deeper? Something that doesn't quite fit into any label we try to give it? But maybe that question itself misses the point. Because not everything meaningful needs to be defined. Some connections aren't meant to be explained. They're meant to be felt. Jungkook didn't say he missed Jimin. He didn't need to. It was there, in the way he waited without distraction. In the way his entire focus seemed to narrow down to one person. In the way he moved the second that person appeared. And most of all, in the way he ran. Because running isn't something you do casually. It's not something you do without reason. Something you do when your heart moves faster than your mind. And in that moment, Jungkook's heart had already decided. Jimin didn't ask why Jungkook came to him. He didn't need clarification. Because between them, there's an understanding that goes beyond words. Beyond logic. Beyond explanation. It just exists, Quietly, naturally, undeniably. Moments like this remind us of something important. Behind the global fame, the pressure, the expectations, and the endless schedules, they are still human. They still have people who make them feel at ease. People who ground them. People whose presence alone is enough to shift their entire mood. And for Jungkook, in that brief, unguarded moment, that person was Jimin. Fans replayed the clip over and over again. Not because they missed something, but because they wanted to feel it again. That same warmth. That same quiet intensity. That same unspoken emotion that somehow said more than words ever could. Because there was something rare in it. Something honest. A quiet wait. A sudden run. And a place beside someone that feels like home. That's what makes moments like this unforgettable. Not the scale. Not the spectacle. But the sincerity. Because in a world that often feels fast, loud, and overwhelming, something as simple as waiting for someone, and then running to them without hesitation, can feel incredibly powerful. It reminds us that even in the busiest lives, there are people who matter enough to make everything else disappear. People who don't need to call your name, because somehow, you already know where to go. In the end, it was never just about Jungkook running. It was about instinct. About comfort. About the quiet certainty of choosing someone, again and again without even realizing it. A brief wait. A sudden run. A place right beside someone who feels like home. And somehow, that was enough to say everything. Because sometimes the most genuine emotions are the ones we don't plan. The ones that happen in between moments. The ones that reveal themselves in silence rather than words. And maybe that's why this moment lingers so deeply in people's hearts. Because it wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was real. A quiet moment that spoke louder than anything else ever could. Because sometimes the heart moves first. And everything else simply follows.